Miss Lizzie. I don't ever smoke the dizzy, but we can always share some ditties. It's just a cup in time. This song doesn't have to rhyme. Life's all of us, not every moment we can be feeling fine. I wanna share a moment, just a second if you will, maybe even a cup of thrill. We could share this performance. It's tea time, come sit with me.
Well, welcome guys, Miss Liz in the house. And this morning we had an early tea time coming in all the way from Malta. That's right. So we had an incredible morning with Christopher Manuel. This afternoon we have Sahara Rose in the house, and we're going to talk about the travel network. But before we get started, you guys know how Miss Liz rolls. Get over to all those platforms: Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn, Blue Sky, Lemonade, Clapper, all those good ones. And if I haven't mentioned them, Miss Liz is on all of those as well. Jump over to the podcast apps: Podbean, Listen Notes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, and the ones I haven't mentioned, Miss Liz is on those ones as well. Check that out. Give these tea times a like, follow, and subscribe. And they do make a difference for the guests and for people who resonate with the topics that are coming to the table. Also, jump over to babyboomers.org, because Miss Liz is partnered with babyboomers.org. And if you're looking to be on another podcast and Miss Liz is not the flavor for you, there is over 50 different podcasts over there, and you can reach out to those guys as well, and they will have you as a guest. So let's get started with disclaimer and then a beautiful intro, and then we're going to get Sahara in here and we're going to spill her tea. And her tea is travel more, embrace more, and always be kind. That is the tea we are serving in the house today. Disclaimer for Miss Liz's Tea Time live show. Miss Liz's Tea Time is a global platform dedicating to sharing real life stories, diverse perspectives, and meaningful conversations that inspire awareness, healing, and connection. I'm Miss Liz is going live using StreamYard. Before leaving a comment during the live broadcast, please grant StreamYard permission to display your name at StreamYard.com. Please be advised that all the content brought forward during any Tea Time show is presented in good faith. However, discussions may include opinions, beliefs, and perspectives that do not necessarily represent the view of Miss Liz or the Tea Time platform. Information shared by guests is based on their own experiences and is perceived to be accurate at the giving time of airing. All guests, viewers, and participants are responsible for using their own good judgment when considering any action or decision that may relate to these discussions. Some episodes may cover sensitive topics, including but not limited to trauma, abuse, grief, mental health, and other emotionally triggering subjects. Listeners' and viewers' discretion is strongly advised. Tea Time with Miss Liz is an open discussion forum designed to offer insight, inspire awareness, and create connection. It is not a substitute for professional, medical, legal, or therapeutical advice. If you require professional support, please seek assistance from qualified professionals or trusted resources in your area. If you have any questions regarding this disclaimer or the content of this discussion, you are welcome to contact me, aka Miss Liz, directly at my email at bookingmissliz@gmail.com or visit my link tree at Miss Liz's Tea Time. By choosing to participate in, comment on, or view these live shows, you acknowledge and accept this disclaimer. Your participation is entirely voluntary. I, Miss Liz, welcomes you to join the conversation with an open heart, and if at any time you feel this platform is not right for you, I respect your wishes and decision and welcome you back whenever you're ready. Tea Time with Miss Liz is serving truth and awareness one cup at a time. Well, welcome to Tea Time with Miss Liz, where conversations remind us that travel is not only about the places we visit. It is about the people we become, the cultures we experience, and the connections we create along the journey. Today's guest brings passion, purpose, and a fresh perspective on tourism, human connection, and building meaningful experiences around the world. Please join me in welcoming Sahara Rose De Vore, travel coach, consultant, speaker, and founder dedicated to help of people and businesses create intentional, meaningful, and human-centered travel experiences. Sahara goes far beyond vacations and destinations. She focuses on mindful travel, culture understanding, sustainable tourism, and helping people reconnect with themselves and others through authentic experiences. With a strong background in hospitality, wellness, and tourism strategy, Sahara advocates for travel that supports communities, mental well-being, inclusion, and deeper human connection rather than simply checking destinations off a list. Today's Tea Time will explore mindful and intentional travel, wellness and human connection, sustainable tourism and community impact, the emotional value of experience, and rediscovering ourselves through the journey. Sahara reminds us that sometimes the most important destination is not a place on a map. Sometimes it's a personal growth, perspective, and connection. So grab your cup and join us for a meaningful conversation filled with inspiration, awareness, and real life tea, truth, experience, and awareness. And let me get Sahara in here and let's spill some tea. Good afternoon, Sahara.
Hi, Liz. Thank you so much for having me today.
It is a pleasure to have you here. So, Sahara, tell us a little bit on who you were as a little girl and who you are now.
Oh, geez. Who I was as a little girl. I was very outdoorsy. I'm gonna, I guess, describe myself as someone who it was a no-brainer that I became a traveler, but travel wasn't anything in my story when I was young. But I was always outdoors, always, playing and getting dirty. I was very creative. So I guess a lot of it has led to what I do today. But I've always been very artsy, drawing and painting a lot. I was always recognized even in kindergarten for my art. I was also very quiet. I'm very introverted, so I was always the quiet kid. I was always the kid in school that the teachers chose to watch the class as they went to the bathroom and or helped out in the classroom. So um, I am still the same person. I've just amplified everything. I've amplified my creativity. I've amplified my sense of outdoors and adventure. And I'm still a very introverted, quiet person, despite 350 plus media outlets and standing on stages around the world. But I was always a dreamer and I'm still a dreamer.
I like that, a dreamer that travels. Sahara, did the book Eat, Pray, and Love, or is it Eat, Love, and Pray?
Eat, Pray, Love.
Yeah, was that an inspiration for you?
It was not. I did read that book when I was in high school. No, it didn't. I also saw the movie. At that time when that book came out and I read it and I watched the movie, um, I still had the mentality that travel was unattainable for most people, that it's something that is a luxury, that something that most people can only do once a year. It's going to cost a lot of money. I had a lot of the same mindset around travel at that time, so I didn't see myself being able to do anything like that. But also because there was an age difference between when I first read that book or heard about it and the character, it makes total sense now that I'm at this stage in my life, why someone would endure something like that and look for something where it's a whole new journey of reinvention and self-discovery. And that's exactly, what I realized through travel and what got me to where I am today.
So, Sahara, what inspired your journey from college student to global travel entrepreneur?
Yeah, so like I mentioned, I didn't grow up traveling. It wasn't something that our family talked about or did often. Our extent of traveling was to pack in the family van and to drive I'm from Wisconsin, that's where I live now, to drive from Wisconsin down to southern Texas and then over the border to Mexico. That's where my grandmother's family was from and they lived. So we would visit there. And the same thing for the French region of Canada. But I was so young at those times, I barely remember those trips. No one traveled for business. No one went on lavish vacations. No one just talked about travel. And it wasn't until my third year university. So I was never also someone who knew what I wanted to do as a career path. When I graduated high school and I went to college, I didn't know what I was going to study. I bounced around with majors. Luckily, in university, your first 2 years, you can do that. Um, but I knew I had a lot of different interests, a lot of skills. I've worked 5 million jobs under the sun, and I'm good at a lot of things. I just never knew what was something I wanted to do, quote unquote, for the rest of my life. And so my third year of university, I was moving across country to change schools, to move closer to home again, and came across a hospitality and tourism management program. I was like, travel, that's cool, right? I was, 19 at the time. Who doesn't like to travel? So I applied and I got in, and it was a 2 year program. So that's all I had left in school. And it was during that time that I was really inspired to maybe revisit this idea of backpacking, something I'd heard about when I was in high school. And I there was foreign exchange students in my tourism courses, and they would talk about how it was so easy to travel to other countries when they're from Asia and Europe. And it's so hard for someone from the States to think like that because we're so vast of a country and so far away from other countries. Besides obviously Mexico and Canada. But I was like, okay, when I graduate, in a couple of years, I am going to figure out a way to go on this Western backpack trip that I've been wanting to go on. But at the same time, I sat there as a broke college student, and I was living in Chicago. It was pricey, not as pricey as now, but it was pricey at $1,000 a month rent, small studio. I was using coupons to buy groceries. I didn't know how I was going to be able to do this. Again, remember, I had the mindset that like travel was still something pretty unattainable and expensive. And I spent the next 2 years just hustling to make as much money as possible, worked every job I could while in school full time. And when I graduated, that was my decision to book a one-way ticket to Ireland and start that backpacking trip.
So was that your first country you went to, was Ireland?
For my backpacking journey. Yeah. So it was the first time I went anywhere solo, and it was the catalyst to my 10-year journey to 84 countries.
Oh, do we have a glitch?
There we go.
There we go. We're back. So your first trip was to Ireland. I seen that you traveled to 84 countries, solo travel to heal your mind and soul. Could you explain to us and the listeners, out of those 84 countries, what one was the deepest one for you?
Yeah, I mean that's a hard question because everywhere is so different and everything brought something different to me. I mean, there's so many, as I kind of scan all the memories in my mind right now, like there's so many things that were so impactful. But one of them that really stands out to me a lot, first I would say it's the Ireland trip because it was the catalyst to something that changed the trajectory of my life. I started the business that I have now and became the person that I am, and went through, traveled continuously after that. And it was scary. It was really hard. I had cried many times. What am I doing? Should I just go home? How am I going to be able to do this? And so that trip itself kind of gave me a boost of confidence that I was capable, and also opened my eyes to just how incredible traveling was and what it was doing for me. But I also spent quite some time in the Philippines after a super typhoon went through years ago, and I was backpacking Southeast Asia for the first time. I went to Japan, Taiwan, and then I had a ticket booked for the Philippines. I had a lot of Filipino friends in Chicago. I'd heard a lot about the Philippines, so I was like, sure, I'll go there. It sounds cool. And when I was in Taiwan, a super typhoon went through Cebu, the part of the country that I was going to go to, and wiped out a lot. So my flights were canceled. The storm was still pretty bad. At the time, I actually got injured physically, so I had to come back home anyways. So I came home, and during that time I was researching, once it clears up a bit, how can I go and help in any way? Because I didn't have any agenda when I travel. I really just traveled anywhere and walked around town every day. And I came across a small group of people who I said, I don't need you to give me anything, pay for anything, like to tell me how to get. Can I come and help you guys? And they did, and I made my way eventually all the way there. It was quite the journey to get to this island off the coast, and that was completely destroyed by, it looked like a tornado hit it, and wiped everything out. And I lived there for a month and helped with debris clearing and playing with the kids and setting up temporary classrooms, which then got blown over by the wind again. Just anything we can do to help. And the people were so welcoming and thankful and kind and generous. They had nothing to begin with. Then everything was taken away, and they were still so giving. They wanted to feed us and welcome us into their homes, give us shelter, and I ended up going back 2 years later to the same exact island and saw the same exact people, and saw the reconstruction and how things were even better. And now they had tourism, and now, everything was flourishing. So that was really transformative experience for myself. Just it taught me a lot about humanity and people, and also just the value of, what matters in life and what doesn't.
Well, and they lost everything, and they're still giving, right? It shows you that the little things in life matter the most, right? You can lose all of the material stuff, but you still have the heart to give.
Yeah, it was the first day that I arrived. It was a long journey, and there was only the only restaurant that was open was like literally think of a restaurant that was hit by a storm, dangling lights and water on the floor. And they somehow it was one of the someone's birthday, one of the Filipinos' birthday, and so the volunteers paid the restaurant to make anything they could, and it was an outdoors restaurant. It wasn't, don't think like closed door restaurant. And anyways, people were sitting at this long table, and I arrive, and there's some volunteers, and there's locals. I don't know anyone. I just sat down on a chair next to these two younger kids, and they order a cheeseburger. A cheeseburger comes and gets put in front of both of them to share it. And I don't speak Filipino. I don't think they spoke much English. And I instinctively, I always took care of kids. So I took their burger to cut it in half to help them split the burger. And I gave it back to them, and then she pushes it back over to me and she said, "You didn't want our burger?" And I said, "No, I don't want your burger. I want you to have, trying to make it easy for you to eat the burger." But it just showed me in that moment when I arrived that like these two kids who lost everything and went through something so traumatic, and they don't often get cheeseburgers, was still willing to give this stranger their food.
Wow. So, Sahara, how did your solo travel shape your understanding of yourself and the world?
Yeah, I mean, travel itself does such wonders for us as human beings. Not only is there just decades worth of research out there that talk about the mental, emotional, physical, social, overall wellness benefits of travel, but there's a reason why people get quote unquote addicted to travel or catch the travel bug, right? It does something for us. Travel, when we're all these different aspects of travel, when we're out of our comfort zones, we're in new environments, we're out of our usual routines, we are strangers in a new place. We're the foreigners that don't speak a language. We're challenged, we're scared, we're dirty, hungry, we need help with things. All of this, we face many problems traveling that we have to figure out and solve. All of these things teach us something. It shows us our weaknesses. It shows us strengths. It teaches us where our values lie. We're open to see other lifestyles and belief systems, and we're able to kind of cherry pick all these different things we experience and see and learn and go through, and help shape who we are, because that's all we have in our life is to control who we are, how we are in our society, how we show up in this world, right? What matters to us and whatnot. And travel allows us to do that. That's up to us to be intentional with that and take into action. Um, but travel is a really incredible tool for self-discovery and figuring out, reconnecting to really your truest self. Who are you at your core, despite all the noise, all the pressures from society or work or the title that you think you should have or the hats you wear in the household? Like, who are you and what do you really want out of life? So oftentimes, especially the women travel industry, especially women 50 plus travel, is on the rise. That industry has been booming tremendously, especially the solo female travel. There's something that travel does for us as women, no matter what age, no matter what phase in our life we're at, that it really helps us in such different, unique ways. And travel is just a testament to that. And that's unique for everyone's story.
And why do you believe travel can be a powerful healing tool, Sahara?
Well, like I said, not only because there's so much research that supports all of that, but it really does it could be as scientific as, spending time in the ocean. If you have arthritis, if you, the salty sea air helps with respiratory issues. So it could be as simple as or as scientific as that, or it could be as spending time near blue and green spaces has proven to help lower stress levels, lower our cortisol levels, and to help boost our mental well-being. It helps us become more physical. I know for me, there's a thing that people always say, like when they travel, they lose weight, especially in Europe. Well, you're walking everywhere. You have more access to local healthy food. You're active all the time, right? It's just a different lifestyle and accessibility in other places. I know for me, I spent a lot of time in Southeast Asia. That's where they have a lot of affordable spa treatments and massages and, a lot of mindfulness there. And that, is a luxury here that if you can afford that, it's a very different in the price points for things. And I would, lived at the spas there. And, it's like $6 for an hour massage, $12 for an hour massage. Like it's so different than here. So you're able to kind of add this self-care element a lot more easier when you're in other destinations, depending on where that is. So there's so many different levels of how travel can help boost our well-being and help with our overall health. It just depends on like the individual and also the destination.
Well, and they have the oceans and the colors and all the organic smells and flowers, so it just brings more peace to the mind. What inspired you to create the Travel Coach Network?
Yeah, so I mentioned how I studied hospitality and tourism management. So I got a degree in 2010. I graduated, and I honestly didn't think I was going to use my degree for anything. I just started traveling. I was actually really underwhelmed by the lack of career options that I felt were in the hospitality and tourism industry, especially back then. I didn't want to work in hotels. I didn't want to be a travel agent and book trips for people. I didn't want to be a flight attendant. I don't know if I said that. I didn't want to write about travel. I didn't want to work for a company that paid me to travel for business. I didn't want to do all those things. I also didn't want to work a corporate job where I only had 2 weeks in a year to take a vacation. Like I was too young and I wanted to live more of my life. And so even though when I went on that first European backpack trip and I realized, hey, I want to keep on doing this. And like I said, I thought I was going to come back and figure out my life and work for a company and climb the corporate ladder and make my mom proud. But I repacked my bag and I went to Central America and bust my way all the way through Central America and went on from there. And but still, for almost 10 years, I struggled to figure out what my career path was. I didn't want to do any of the things I'd learned about. And I traveled during a really interesting time in the industry, too. There was a rise of technology and social media and the influence that had on travel. There was new platforms, new companies, new brands, new opportunities. But I said, there's still a void that exists between. I believed in so deeply about travel that travel could help us in our own personal ways because I had hundreds of thousands of conversations for those 10 years with other travelers and why they traveled and what travel did for them, what travel meant to them, why they kept on traveling or why they were envious of others who kept on traveling. And then there became the trend of quitting the 9 to 5 to travel the world, right? The digital nomad, where everyone thought it was this reckless, careless millennial who didn't want to work and was lazy and just was a free spirit, right? But it became a thing, remote work. And I said, well, there's such a disconnect. Why don't companies value travel in the corporate space, but also why in the travel industry isn't this emotional appeal to travel present when it comes to travel marketing, planning, booking, or anything. And so I struggled. I didn't find anything that aligned with my values. And so I said, when I'm 30, I'll figure out my life. I'll put pressure on myself when I'm 30. So I kept on traveling. And so 30 was coming about. I bought a little tiny notepad laptop thing for the first time and traveled with that. And I was backpacking northern Spain. I was in Bilbao, Spain, in the hostel room, opened it up my computer and started Googling how to start an online business. What are people doing online? What are they doing in travel? How to start out, like what's happening? Where do I even begin? And I came across the coaching world. I saw a lot of business coaches, health, life, wellness coaches. Something clicked and I said, I want to be a wellness travel coach. That's what I want to do because I believed in the wellness power of travel. So I spent 2 years studying the wellness benefits of travel. And then I was first going to focus in corporate travel, but learned about the burnout epidemic amongst business travelers. So I focused in that. So in 2018, I started traveling and speaking on stages for big companies and conferences for the various wellness benefits of travel for their business travelers. and beyond spas, gyms, yoga retreats, and wellness centers. And soon after, I had a lot of people ask me, what's a travel coach? Where did you learn about that? Maybe I want to do it. Maybe I've been doing it. And again, I had a gut instinct. I remember I was on a train going to Chicago for a big conference for business travel. And I was like, I will create the platform for that. So I founded the Travel Coach Network in early 2019. So as I was building my wellness travel coaching business, I was figuring out what the Travel Coach Network look like. What could this platform look like? How do we define travel coaching for everyone? And then my course eventually then evolved. So now we evolved into a global community of over 800 travel coaches from over 41 different countries who get certified through our ICF-accredited programs.
Wow. So what can we find on the Travel Coach Network that we won't find elsewhere?
Yeah, so travel coaching itself, like people, it's still a newer concept despite how much attention that we've had. It's still a newer concept because in the travel industry, the travel advisor has been part of the world industry has been like the dominated travel business, right? If anyone says I have a travel business, you think they plan and book trips for people. And it's just been the role that people go to when they want to travel. But in the world of travel coaching, think more life coaching plus travel. It's really about helping people better understand their why for travel, their motivations, setting intentions for their trip, and so that they know how to spend their time and what to do in order to hopefully have the outcomes, the emotional outcomes, the feelings, the changes that they're seeking in the first place. We all have underlying motivation for why we travel. We're all looking for something, whether it's to feel better, have a sense of happiness, feel excited about life, figure out our purpose, get clear on something, spend time with our loved ones and build that relationship deeper, whatever it might be. So travel is a really powerful platform to be able to achieve those changes and feelings and outcomes in life, but it takes intention. And travel coaching helps guide people through the fundamentals of coaching and through our program of how do you become that guide to help people go from just booking vacations to actually helping them integrate aspects of travel in their life so that they can live the life that they want and feel how they want to feel.
When we go to a travel agent, it's usually this is how much it costs, this is how many days it's going to be. When we reach out to you, Sarah, are we getting like a coach that aligns like the whole trip, like plans like the little tourism things and events in that community and stuff as well, or?
Well, it depends. So our travel coaches, they vary tremendously on niches. So who their clients are varies. So that would really depend on what you're looking for. If you're looking for someone who is a traditional travel agent who can just plan and book a trip for you, you know where you want to go, what you want, you just don't want to do the busy work, there's a role for that as a travel agent. A travel coach is going to be someone who if you actually have some sort of intention for why you're going, so for example, we have many niches, but some popular ones are like women in life transitions. So women who are using travel as an avenue for reinvention after divorce or after becoming an empty nester. What do you do with your time now? What does this new chapter of your life look like? Grief and loss is a big one. Navigating grief after loss of a loved one. These are all stories that came from our travel coaches and turned into niches because that's how they travel changed their own lives and help them, and they want to help others. We have women who focus in like helping empower women to improve their health and their process of menopause in this new chapter through travel experiences, whether it's time in nature, different, healing destinations or whatnot. So it really just depends on the individual of what you're actually looking for. It does take a shift of the mindset because travelers are not used to being asked deeper questions, or having someone who coaches them or guides them along their journey versus just plans, books their trips for them, and hopefully you work with them again.
So how does the transformational travel differ from the traditional tourism?
Yeah, so transformational travel itself is a lot deeper. That takes like true education and guidance. And there's a lot of information out there, a lot of organizations and experts out there who focus in transformational travel. So the transformation is just part of what travel coaching is all about. But to have a true transformative experience, that takes time, that takes a level of depth that a lot of people really aren't seeking for that. Um, Same thing as wellness. Wellness is a very broad term. It just varies what level of wellness you're looking for, or what wellness means to you as well. But I do believe that one day, these terms like wellness travel, I mean, wellness in the sense of like just spas and like wellness related centers, but wellness and transformative travel, these would just be kind of just subsets of travel itself, just like adventure has been over the years, or leisure travel, or luxury travel, right? They won't be buzzwords after a while.
So have you done any retreats?
I personally don't run retreats. We do have had a lot of travel or retreat leaders come into the TCN to learn how to combine travel coaching with their retreats. So the same thing with travel advisors, tour operators, tour guides, life coaches, wellness coaches, health experts, and even medical experts come into the TCN. But some of our travel coaches also then want to also run retreats. So we partner with different retreat companies to help them understand how to do that, because that's a whole different world and monster that is not my expertise. But it is very popular and can be very beneficial and could be lucrative too as a business.
Well, retreats, you have to do a deep research, right? When you're referring all those retreats to individuals.
Oh, there's so much that goes into the retreats. Yeah, I was actually just on a call today with someone who runs a really big retreat company that helps and courses that helps retreat leaders. She's been doing it for years. And yeah, that is their world. But there's so much to think about.
So what challenges did you face building a completely new category within the travel industry?
Yeah, this is one of my favorite questions, because a lot of challenges. I mean, most industries are very stubborn industries, but the travel and hospitality industry is a very stubborn industry. It's been done a certain way for so long and run by a certain type demographic of CEOs in the world of travel, that if they have the mentality, if it's not broke, don't fix it. But thankfully, times are changing. The pandemic really did wonders for the travel industry post-pandemic. A lot of wellness and self-care and intention and meaning, and purpose have gone into the industry, and traveler behavior has been shifting. And so it's been really challenging over the years creating a new category in the travel space and defining what that is, against big monsters like the travel agent world, which have massive consortia, and there's hundreds of thousands of agents around the world. And to be able to find, this new category and what sets us apart, and that has been challenging over the years, but it's becoming less challenging because times are changing and people get it. Just like life coaching was once, people once said, like, why would I hire someone to help me live my life and figure out my life? Or why would I help as leadership? That's almost every Fortune 500 company now requires leadership coaching for their leaders. Those were all health and fitness. Why would I have someone help me figure out how to like get my body in shape when I can just go to the gym myself? Those are all multi-billion-dollar industries. Now, I was just researching all of them, and I think travel coaching will be the next one. One day people will know exactly why they need a travel coach and how to find one.
So I seen that you were the most influential woman in 2023 in travel by Travel Pulse. Tell us how you got an award for that.
I didn't know I was going to get an award for that. It just landed in my inbox that I was on the list. Now I know who the editor is and who chooses the people every year. But yeah, that was in 2023. I show up a lot on LinkedIn. I think it's really important for people to be present on LinkedIn. It is a really great social network platform, and if you can position yourself as a thought leader. So the editor, I don't know, found my stuff, saw what I was talking about. I didn't talk to her before or anything, so that was a really nice surprise.
It's always nice when there's people watching, right? That you don't know who's watching, and then all of a sudden you get this reach out, and you're like, what, me?
Yeah, that happens a lot. I have conversations. I had one right before I hopped on this call with someone who's building a really nice travel tech company, and I never spoke with them before, and they were like, I've been following your work and I really enjoy it. I really align with it. So that's always really, really reassuring.
And how can stepping out of your comfort zone transform our mindsets?
Well, it takes us out of our usual environment and bubble, right? Like, our environment is everything. Who, what's around us, the beliefs that are shared among us. So when we're able to get out of our comfort zone, we're also challenged. We now know what it feels like to be a foreigner in someone else's world. We now know what it feels like to need help. We now know, what it means to like we witness more empathy, or we build more empathy and compassion for others. And so there's so many different ways that getting out of our comfort zone can help with our mental well-being, and it really puts things in perspective for us because we realize like who we are and what we're really capable of. And that's really important, especially as for women. It's like a saying that travel can helps boost our confidence as women, and it really is true because you're faced with all of these factors and decisions and situations that you got to figure out. And yeah, you just learn a lot about yourself, and you learn a lot about this world.
Sahara, have you noticed an increase of solo female travelers since COVID?
Oh yeah, I mean, there's tons of studies and articles that have been out talking about the rise of solo female travelers, but I think it's been something that has been around for quite some time. It just really wasn't recognized a lot, and that's just been an issue in the travel industry that women themselves haven't been really present in the marketing. Like travel hasn't been really marketed to them, but there are studies that show that women make like 60% of the travel decisions, and have for years. But I see that solo travel is only going to get even more popular, for women, especially as we talk about more people share their stories. A lot of influencers, a lot of bloggers, a lot of entrepreneurs too, who talk about the benefits of solo travel. And once people and working with people like travel coaches who are able to help you guide through those journeys and overcome a lot of those limiting beliefs, because that's one of the things that I heard a lot when I was backpacking is like, aren't you scared? I could never, to all of those things. And I hear that from other solo travelers. They get the same kind of feedback. But all we want to do is shake people and say, just, we wish that you would just not think that way, because travel could be so great for your life. And so we'll start seeing that as more people start working with travel coaches to help through that confidence and break through those limiting beliefs.
So, Sahara, is there numbers that we would be surprised to hear today about traveling?
Referring to what?
Just overall numbers, because like you said, 60% are the women that make the travel decisions, right? So what numbers would surprise my listeners today?
Yeah, I don't really know too many other like numbers per se, because it really varies on like the outlet that you get it from. What I find that is surprising these days, especially starting at the end of last year, we're seeing more articles from publications and companies like Hilton Hotels with partner with Globe Trender, and they talked about in an article the rise of the whycation. So why you travel, they call it a whycation. So coming to understand why you want to travel in order to make better decisions, which thank you is what we've been doing in travel coaching over all these times. But then Forbes came out with one at I think the beginning of this year, end of last year, talking about how more travelers are looking for emotion-based outcomes when it comes to their travel decisions. So we're seeing a lot of different publicbooking.com came out with something, and I just read another one where it talked about even the luxury travelers, which that industry has always kind of been stuck in its ways, right? Like we know what luxury is, we know the 5 stars, we know the status, we know the people who need the income level for the type of luxury. But there was an article, I don't remember what it's from, came out that said that even luxury, there was like 60% or 65% of luxury travelers were also choosing emotion-based outcome experiences while choosing their like what to do when they travel. So I thought that was pretty shocking too, because it's even leaking into there.
Wow. And this is one topic I haven't had on Teatime is travel. I've traveled 80 countries in my chair, but I haven't traveled that much outside of the chair, right? So Oh,
It's okay.
what?
It's still being able to, it's all about people and connection, and you can do that virtually. You don't always have to get on a plane and go abroad. There's different ways to kind of travel through others, journeys and stories and stuff too.
Do you prefer traveling through plane, trains, or buses, walking? Which one brings the most joy to you?
Well, I enjoy walking most because I can see a lot of hidden gems around town. I Fun fact is actually I have a really bad fear of flying that developed a little bit later in my years. So I don't enjoy flying, but I do it still. I'm flying to Toronto next week. But I spent a lot of time on buses. A lot. I bussed my way through a lot of continents, Central America, South America, Southeast Asia, all over the place, all over Europe. I also bussed a lot too because I found buses a little bit cheaper too. So I did like them, except for when we go up in the windy mountains. That's always a bit nauseating.
Have you ever done a cruise?
Yes, I've taken my mom and her friends on a couple cruises, but I did a solo cruise on my own as well. I did that in Scandinavia. I went to Iceland, then I went to Norway, and then I went to Denmark and I jumped on a cruise ship from Denmark. And we went to Finland, Estonia, Sweden, St. Petersburg, Russia, and back to Denmark. And I absolutely loved it.
Have you taken the train?
What train?
Uh, there's train tours that go through like I think it's Switzerland and that as well.
Oh, no, but I'm sure those are beautiful. I do take I travel on the Amtrak here domestically, especially down to Chicago often. But train travel is not my preference.
Well, let's get into your tea because your tea you gave me was travel more, embrace more, and always be kind. Tell me a little bit more about your tea.
Yeah, I think that I think everyone should travel just a little bit in their life. I promise it will teach them something, help them realize something, and it doesn't have to be super lavish, or extensive experience, or you don't have to go very far either. But there's so many different elements of travel that can help us in our lives. So I think everyone should be able to travel more. When it comes, what was the second part?
Embrace more and always be kind.
Yeah, I think people should just embrace each other more too. I always believe that if everyone traveled a little bit, the world would be a lot kinder of a place. We get to understand a lot of our not only differences, but how alike we are as human beings and how we share a lot of the common things that we all want, even if we don't speak the same language or believe the same beliefs. And I think that would be, really beneficial, especially in times like these. Um, I'm sorry, what was the last one?
Always be kind.
It was my last call of the day, and I've been talking for quite some time. I think everyone should always be kind. I think that what you put out in this world comes back to you, and I think it really matters how you treat people. And not only just people, but how you treat life, like how you treat nature, how you treat animals. I think all of that is really important. I think we're all trying to live the best life that we can and be the happiest, best version of ourselves. And that takes being mindful, and that takes intention. So it doesn't cost anything to be kind to people. And I think that people would be really surprised, like just the smallest gestures, how that also changes you as a person too. Not only
Absolutely. What role does kindness play when traveling and connecting with different cultures?
kindness. Yeah, I mean, I can't tell you how many times I was in destinations that I didn't speak the language and I needed help. Like when I started traveling, I traveled with a flip phone that didn't turn on for service, and I had a paper map that one I printed out from my mom's work computer before I left, or you can tear from the hostel counter had just like these like generic little map things. Many times they were just like cartoon maps, and I would try to navigate with that, or I would write directions in my notebook until I got to the next place because there weren't booking platforms yet online. So I would just knock on doors and hope that they had a bed for me to sleep in. And so I oftentimes needed to ask for help and depended on the kindness of others to help me. And I was so grateful. I call a lot of the people my travel angels because they helped me in ways that I really needed it, like a ride to the airport where I thought I was able to, and then there was no more buses in town. This woman was so kind. As long as I waited for her to finish her little tiny cappuccino, she was going to take me in the south of France to the airport, and she was really sweet. And my very first trip, or my very first solo trip, because I was in Ireland with a family first, and then I went to Paris, and that was the first time by myself. And I didn't realize I didn't have a place to stay, and it wasn't going to be easy to find an affordable hostel. And I stayed with this girl I met on the streets, and she was so sweet to let me stay in her parents' attic, and that was a finished attic, and stay there for the night to give me housing. And we I don't know who the people are now. I don't remember their names. It was so long ago, but they, it's that kind of kindness that I try to bring into my own life. And you just never know what people are going through, or, how you can help others, even if it's the smallest little way.
I like that, angels, because you just never know, right? The universe just opens doors sometimes, and you're like, oh, thank you. And you never hear from that person again, right? So it kind of feels like an angel experience.
Yeah, yeah. I try to sprinkle that throughout my days too. Like I just paid for this woman's groceries at the grocery store who was ahead of me. And I think she might have been going through some sort of like chemo or something like that, but that wasn't why I did it. But I think you just never know people's story. And she was so grateful for it. And I, not only made her day, but also made me feel good too. So, you know, doesn't hurt to be kind.
Right? Kindness goes so much further than people realize. What advice would you give someone afraid to take their first big leap into adventure?
Oh, I would say just go for it. I mean, we have one life to live, and I always wanted to not live with regrets. When I was in Myanmar, another name for the country is Burma, and I was just backpacking. I was in a shuttle van, and this I don't know if they're from the States or Canada, this English speaking couple came in and sat next to me, and we're just chit-chatting, and they were just asking me about my adventures, and I was like, yeah, I'm just aimlessly traveling around. And they were like, and they were older, they were in their retirement now, and they said, oh, I remember them saying to me, I wish we had started doing what you did back then. Like and I that always stuck with me, because I don't want to be a certain age. You can't go back in time, right? We can't like relive our years as much as we want to. And we only have the present. And I always wanted to make the most of that. So whether it is taking a trip or making a big decision or going on a solo adventure or giving that friend a call that you haven't talked to in a while, whatever it might be, like we only have the time that we have now. And so I don't think living with regrets is something anyone should do. So if anyone's having fears around anything, you're thinking about start a business, start it. Like just go for it. Just go book that ticket. And I promise like you will figure things out along the way. Things will be okay. And I promise you will not have regrets. What's the worst that can happen? You go back home from your trip,
Right?
or you shut down your business, or you don't talk to that friend again, whatever it might be. So you got to kind of weigh the pros and cons with that.
Well, there's so many people that live with regret, right? Like, I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it tomorrow. Well, tomorrow might not come. So do it now. Like, just do it. That's what I tell my kids all the time. Just do it. Try it. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Like, at least you tried, and you don't have that regret that you live with for the rest of your life. What does home mean to you after visiting 84 countries?
Yeah, that's a good question too. My home has always been my home because my mom is here. And now I have a 2-year-old. So my home is always honestly, wherever they are. But they've always been in my hometown. My mom has always been in my hometown. So that has always been my home. But I think it's when we travel, and especially when we travel often, it's really easy to make a new home any place in the world. Just it all depends on like the people that you're with, which is such a beautiful thing about traveling, the people that you meet.
Well, let me ask you a couple lightning bolt questions here. Window seat or aisle seat for you?
Window.
Why?
because I told you I have a fear of flying and I like to see what's happening out the window. Also,
I'm scared
I'm
of heights too. Like it took me a long time to fly, and then I wanted a window seat. I don't know why. I was like, I'm gonna look out.
it's a control thing. Also, I'm 6 foot tall, and aisle seats, I tend to get my like knees hit by the people in carts. So,
One country that changed your life.
I would probably say Thailand.
Oh, why Thailand?
I just went back time and time again. It was just a calling that I always had. And honestly, if I didn't have the life and family and stuff that I have now, I would probably be living there. But I brought my mom. She backpacked twice through Thailand with me. I lived there. I don't know. It's just like a combination of the people and just the nature, the food. I just really love the vibes of Thailand. It became like home for me there.
And what went in the backpack when you did your backpack trip?
Gosh, too much. Um, too much. It just depends on a lot of clothes. I'm a girl. I a lot of clothes, unnecessary amount of clothes that I would just leave at hostels for people. Please take this. And yeah, usually there would be like a little surprise in there from my mom that she would hide in there as I was getting ready to go or something. That was always really nice. But not too much. I didn't take too much with me. Um, but I had a lot of my valuables that was in like a smaller backpack, just like my phone and my wallet and passport and stuff.
So, hostels or hotels? What do you prefer?
Now hotels, back then hostels. Yeah, I can't now. I have too much happening and going on, and I need my space and cleanliness and stuff. But I absolutely love staying in hostels when I was backpacking in my 20s and early 30s because you just never know who to meet. And also a lot of the places are so cool. Like they're so cool of like structures and buildings. Like I stayed in a little castle like hostel in Montenegro in Kotor. And it was so cute and quaint and you just never know.
And what inspires adventure now with a 2-year-old?
Now my travels are all for work. But the more that I travel, I don't travel with my son for work right now, even though he's been on a plane twice to Florida. But um, I do have the thought of being able to travel for work with him to have him experience some of the places I go to. Because a lot of the places I stay at have like water parks and just like small things. Start realizing like there's so much more to like enjoy than being home. But of course, I would need support as I to do that because I'm usually traveling for conferences or speaking or something.
And Sarah, what's your favorite way of recharging while traveling?
Sitting in the sun.
Oh,
I I just like to go and get some sunshine on my skin and just lay, whether it's at a pool, at a beach, just in the sun. That gives me just like a recharge for things, just time to myself. Because I really usually am glued to my computer.
and one word that describes transformation for you.
Toss in between the words of like truth and purpose, just because it really gives, I guess what I'm trying to say is it really brings you back to who you really are and who you're meant to be in this life. So whatever you're meant to transform into was destined for you. So I guess destiny.
And do you have anything that we should know about, any events or anything that they should check out on the website?
Yeah, just if anyone's interested in becoming a certified travel coach or joining our free community, you can find that on our website. That's our main things. We have a lot of free resources to kind of test out to learn what travel coaching is more about. And yeah, we do have a free upcoming Travel Coaching 101 webinar coming up soon in August. So you can find all of that on our social channels at the Travel Coach Network.
And what's this about the ambassadors?
Our ambassador program. Yeah, so we do have ambassadors around the world. Like I said, we have members in over 41 different countries. And when I travel, I will hold meetups for any of our members and coaches who are in the area, like I'm doing in Toronto next week. But people from all around the world wanted that, and I can't be everywhere at once and travel that often. And so we launched an ambassador program to help spark others to also the healing, transformative, and deeper meaningful purpose travel to connect with each other. And whether that's virtually, whether that's in person, it's just that we share a common belief with each other that travel's more than just a vacation. It can really be a powerful tool for us.
And do you want to share a little bit about the podcast?
Yeah, we do have the Travel Coach Network podcast. It's a great resource to learn more about travel coaching, hear about their travel coaches, different niches that they have. We have different experts talking about shifts that are happening in the industry that are aligned with what we do in the Travel Coach Network. And I give a lot of educational stuff on there too.
And you have humanizing the travel experience. What does that mean?
Yeah, I think it's really important, especially in a world where, in the travel world, it's very tech and AI driven, especially moving forward. And I just did a speaking on this at the American Society of Travel Advisors conference at San Diego 2 weeks ago. It's really important that human side to travel, the human approach to travel in the forefront, because travel is emotional and travel is personal. And so being able to keep the emotions for why we travel and help guide people through travel experiences, those who are able to do that are going to be the ones who are most successful in the future. And those are ones who, the travelers, are going to have the most meaningful experiences.
And when looking for a travel coach, what should people look for?
Well, we do have the hiretravelcoach.com. You can easily search in that database. But it really just starts with you figuring out like what do you want out of that experience, so you know what kind of travel coach to go to. We have travel coaches who help with people relocate and move abroad, which is a big topic. But starting with figuring out like what's your hopefully your end goal, or starting with your why, will help you narrow down what type of coach to work with.
And Sahara, what final message would you have for anybody out there today in the travel world?
Evolve. Times are changing. You have to evolve. You can no longer go do things how they have been done in the past, and the cookie cutter mentality that has always been taught, that these are the only options that you can do, or the only categories and niches to be in, or the way to do things. Like, you have to be able to step out of that and evolve, because when tech and AI are doing a lot of roles and tasks that people have been doing for so long, you need to add that emotional and human approach to your travel business and really connect with people on a deeper level.
And what changes do you want to see in the travel world?
I want everyone to become a certified travel coach. I would really like to see that travel isn't just seen as this transaction and something that is just this quick fix, or something that should be fast and seamless, and instead be seen as a really important tool in our lives for whatever it is that we all need. So when we come from that approach first, it adds so much more depth and purpose to everything else. The right hotels, and what hotels offer, and destinations, and how they market themselves, and sales teams and how they sell their cruises. Like, it really will have a trickle effect, but we have to shift that mentality first.
And what final message would you have for all the listeners today? And if you could just spell out your website for all the audio listeners.
Yeah, I just hope that everyone kind of, reassesses or assess with yourself. Like, are you living the best life that you can, and being the best that you can, and going for your goals, whether that's traveling, starting a business, helping others, whatever it might be. Again, we only have one life to live, so it's really important to make the most of that. And then our website, thetravelcoachnetwork.com. So the travelcoachnetwork.com.
And if anybody would like to reach out to you, Sahara, could you just spell out your website?
Yeah. Well, you can just reach out and find us at the Travel Coach Network across all of our social channels.
Okay, thank you so much. And I really want to just thank everybody for tuning in and joining and sending your questions in so that I could get out to Sahara today. And I'm just going to do a quick wrap up of what today's tea time was. And then I will be back tomorrow for a surprise tea time. What a beautiful and perspective shifting conversation today. Sahara, thank you for bringing your warmth, wisdom, and intentional approach to the tea time table. Your message reminds us that travel is not only about movement across the world, it is about transformation within ourselves. Today's conversation explored mindful travel, wellness, and culture awareness, sustainability, and the importance of creating meaningful experiences that connect people rather than separate them. One of the strongest takeaways from today is this: experiences often leave deeper footprints on our hearts than possessions ever could. You reminded listeners that slowing down, remaining curious, respecting communities, and traveling with intentions can create deeper understanding not only of the world but of ourselves. In a world constantly rushing towards the next thing, your work encourages people to become present enough to truly experience the moment they are living in. Here's some food for thought to leave with everyone today. What if the journey you need most right now is not about escaping your life, but about reconnecting with yourself in a deeper and more meaningful way? Because sometimes growth begins the moment we step outside what feels familiar. Thank you, Sahara, for reminding us that meaningful travel is ultimately about humanity, connection, and learning how to move through the world with awareness and compassion. Until next time, keep exploring with purpose, keep building human connection, and keep serving real life tea one conversation at a time. And I'll see everybody tomorrow, and we'll do this all over again.